Hi, it's me again, Holly, and welcome to my Halloween special. Holly-ween. I'm going to tell you about some experiences tonight at my house, my first house that I moved into after living at the parents' house. So, if you like to hear ghost stories and creepy experiences, sit back, relax, kick up your feet, and let's jump in. So, as soon as I turned 18, boom, I was on it. I was out of the parents' house, took my old man, and moved into my first home. So we moved in. It was me, my old man, and my brand new baby boy. And at first, everything went good. I didn't really notice anything, or maybe I wasn't paying attention. And I would say that in the beginning, it was just little things like a door creak over here or hear something in the kitchen. But, you try to dismiss things at first, even though it was a new house, you kind of chop it up to being, well, I don't know this house like the other place I lived at. So it's like you're still getting used to settling in, and you're getting used to the new house noises, as people would say. So when the door would open a little bit, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's just what that door does. Or when you'd hear the door handle jingle, well, maybe it was stuck and then it just released. It's just little things like that. Or if something fell in this room or a noise in that room, it was, something must have been close to the edge. But sooner or later, it was like you couldn't dismiss it anymore. You knew something was going on, but, it's like I tried to put it in the back of my mind and just live my life. Well, one night, me and my old man, I remember we were sitting in the living room and we were waiting. We had just got done cooking brownies and they were out on the table and we were waiting for them to cool. And I think he was watching a football game. And we were just chopping it up, laughing, talking, whatnot. And he said, don't forget to cover those brownies because we were already done eating them and they had already been cooled and stuff like that. So I went over and I covered up the brownies and went back into the living room, and by then we were watching a movie, and all of a sudden there was a noise of like plastic, like pressing of plastic. And I turned to him and I was like, did you hear that? And he was like, yeah, what was that? And I was like, I don't know. And I got up and I went straight to those brownies because I was like, there's no way that was that. Sure shit. It was the top of the cover of the brownies pressed in as if someone was trying to get at them. And my instinct was, oh, it was one of the children. And I could understand if the brownies were still hot out of the oven, but this was a while later. The brownies were completely cooled. They weren't even warm. It was a while later. And so there's no way that top, brand new top, should have been dented in as much as it was. It was as if you just took it and pressed down on it and it stayed like that. And so I went and sat down and I was like joking with them, but not really. And I said, oh, maybe one of the kids wanted the brownies, so that was one experience that I had. Another experience was after I had gotten my home, my sister Michelle, she wanted to come and see it and come stay with me for a little while. So I was like, heck yeah, come on down. Like, we have a guest room. So, or come on up, should I say. So the guest room, it was in the back of the house, and I when people come to your place, the first thing out of your mouth isn't, oh yeah, our house is haunted and you might hear little children. Like, you don't want to scare people, and you never know if they're going to have an experience or not, you know. The time they're there, things might be quiet. It just, you never know. So I didn't want to tell people, you know, that that's what was going on. You don't want people to think that you're crazy either, you know. And so I didn't say anything to her. Anyways, the next morning, she's like, a fucking kid was singing, "You Are My Sunshine" to me last night. And I was like, yeah, that happens. And, you know, I didn't know what else to say to her. Like, yeah, you know, we have kids in the house. And so she was pretty freaked out, but she slept she slept in the living room. She didn't want to sleep in that back room. Well, that wasn't the only time a child was singing to somebody that stayed in our home. My old man had a friend named Tony, and he was such a good dude. He was so kind and sweet. Anyways, he needed help. He needed somewhere to stay, and my old man said, come stay with us. We have an extra room. So he did. He took us up on our offer, and he came and stayed with us. Well, same thing. I don't know if it was smart of me or not. Maybe I should tell people, you know, like when I was staying in that home. Maybe I should have been like, hey, you know, just be on the lookout, or hey, this might happen. But I didn't, you know. I just didn't feel comfortable telling people that. Because what if they didn't experience anything at all, you know? And then I just would have freaked them out for nothing. I never knew when things were going to happen or if it would even happen. And so I figured eventually he would find out, but I didn't want to tell him, you know? And if that makes me an asshole, then I guess I was an asshole. But, well, he found out right away. It wasn't more than a couple days of him staying in that gas drum that he got sang to. And he told me he didn't look right the next morning. He looked like, what the hell? Like, he didn't know if he wanted to tell me or not. And I just knew what happened. And we discussed it, and he was freaked out, but not freaked out enough to like leave or anything, you know, because it was like, what can you do? What do? You know, you just kind of deal with it. And most of the houses are haunted anyways, you know. It's like, what do? Move out and move into a worse house, you know? I mean, it wasn't like they weren't evil. It didn't have a nefarious feeling with them, you know? So it's not as bad as some other houses, you know, on the res. So he told me, though, which cracked me up. He just said, well, I put a knife by the window. And I was like, well, why? And he said, well, I heard ghosts don't like sharp things. And I just cracked up at him. We had a good laugh at that, because I was like, well, cry. I mean, do what you got to do, but it's not like you can use it on a ghost, you know, or a spirit. So we had a good laugh, and that was Tony's experience in our house. So the last experience I'm going to tell you about is my old man. And it was one weekend I decided to go down to my parents to visit, and he had to stay back because he had to work. And it almost seemed like whenever I would leave out of town that the children ghosts would like mess with him, right? So the first night that I left, he ended up showing up at his mom's looking white as, no pun intended, as a ghost, and was freaked out, and he didn't really tell his mom what happened. And when I came back, he came back, and I asked him, well, why'd you go stay at your mom's? And he said that night he was laying in bed, and that it sounded like the sound of metal going across the bedroom floor. And he said, I don't know, maybe like a sound of like a pop can like being pressed and drug along the floor. But of course, like, what the heck could do that, you know? And he said, I don't know what it was, but he jumped up, grabbed his coat, and threw on his shoes and went straight to his mom's. Like, he couldn't stay there when I wasn't there. So that was his experience. He also said that one night he had his foot grabbed, and from then on, he does not sleep with his feet out of the blankets. And I just laugh, like, as if that's going to help something from not grabbing your foot. Like, it's kind of silly, but whatever comforts you, you know? So those were his experiences in our first home. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed hearing the experiences in my first home. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you'll know the next time I upload a video. Good night, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're listening to this. Bye.